Listen to what's just happened. One musical idea has entered 3 times. You might expect that to feel repetitive, but somehow it doesn't. I've always found that one of the remarkable things about Bach. He can return to familiar material again and again, yet the music never feels as though it's simply going over the same ground. Why? One of the books that changed the way I think about this is Laurence Dreyfus's Bach and the Patterns of Invention. Dreyfus draws attention to a distinction that Bach himself makes in the preface to the Inventions. Finding a good invention is only the beginning. The real task is to develop it well. That suggests a different way of thinking about originality, not as a constant search for more ideas, but as the discovery of what the ideas already present might become. I'd like to explore that through a few pieces I know well. Today, when we speak of invention, we usually mean producing something new. A new melody, a new theme, a new musical idea. But in Bach, invention is not simply the moment when an idea first appears. It's also what happens to that idea afterwards, how it's continued, how it changes, how it begins to generate the rest of the music. That process can sound very different from one piece to another. Let's begin with the Allemande from the Fourth Partita. Nothing here sounds obviously repetitive. In fact, the music seems simply to unfold. One phrase grows naturally out of the last. When I recorded this piece, I became increasingly aware that the music rarely seems to stop and begin again with a completely separate thought. The material develops as it moves forward. The harmony changes. The phrases expand and turn in different directions. Yet everything feels connected. This is not a case where we can point to one clearly defined subject as we can in a fugue. The connection is broader than that. It lies in a sense that each new moment grows from something already established. Dreyfus gave me a way of describing a process I had already sensed as a performer. Here, invention is not about replacing one idea with another. It's about allowing the musical material to unfold. The prelude from the First Partita works in a rather different way. The figuration remains remarkably consistent, yet the music is always moving. Not because Bach keeps introducing new patterns, but because the harmony continually changes the meaning of the pattern we already know. A cadence alters our sense of direction. A modulation places the same figuration in a different light. The surface remains familiar. What changes is the way we hear it. The Allemande showed musical material unfolding from phrase to phrase. Here, Bach shows that even a nearly continuous pattern can be renewed from within. Now let's return to the A major fugue. The subject returns, but each return belongs to a different musical situation. The surrounding voices have changed, the harmony has changed, fragments of the subject begin to generate music of their own. So the subject is not simply repeated, it becomes part of an expanding contrapuntal argument. Each entry is recognizable, but none of them means quite the same thing. By now, the idea is no longer just a melody. It's become the source from which the whole texture grows. The Allemande showed us continuity. The prelude showed us familiar material renewed by harmony. The fugue showed us a subject generating an entire contrapuntal texture. But the Art of Fugue carries this principle further still. Almost the entire work grows from one principal subject. In one contrapunctus, Bach presents it plainly. In another, he inverts it. Elsewhere, he combines different forms of it or places it within increasingly complex counterpoint. The point's not that every bar contains the subject unchanged. It's that the work keeps revealing further consequences of the same basic invention. Bach seems to ask one question again and again. What else can this become? That's why the work does not feel like an exercise in repetition. It feels like discovery. At the beginning, we heard the same subject enter 3 times. It could have sounded repetitive. It didn't. The Allemande, the Prelude, the Fugue, and the Art of Fugue achieve this in different ways, but each reveals the same underlying principle. Bach doesn't depend on a constant succession of unrelated ideas. He listens closely to the material already present and discovers where it might lead. That's what I took most strongly from Dreyfus's book. It gave me a language for something I'd gradually come to recognize through years of playing Bach. The more I live with this music, the less I listen for novelty. I listen for possibility. For the moment when something familiar returns and reveals something I'd not heard before. Perhaps that's one reason Bach's music still feels so alive. It doesn't simply repeat its ideas. It continues to discover them. Thank you for watching.